Okay, we're going to go ahead and do this.
Okay.
There we go. Good morning, Rotarians and friends. Folks coming in the door, come on in. We're going to get started here. Welcome, Zoomers. Thanks for being here. Right up first, let's do some introductions. Do we have any visiting Rotarians today? In the room, visiting Rotarians? How about on our Zoom call here? No? Okay. Rotaract members? No, I do see we have Interact here. Would you like to come on up and introduce yourself real quick? Got space on the camera for you right here.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm president of Interact. It's nice to be able to finally see so many people in person. Yeah.
My name is Ian. I'm a member of Interact, and I'm just really glad to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, guys. And I know we have some guests of Rotarians this morning. I'd like to introduce. Yep.
President Ian, I have with me this morning my friend Peggy Baxter. She's with financial aid at Humboldt State University and wants to know a little bit more about us.
Excellent. Hi, Peggy. Thanks for being here. And Sophia, I know you have guests.
Yeah, I have my guest about Dustin again, and she is a talented notes at resolution.
Excellent. Hi, Robin. Thanks for being here. Any other guests? Amanda. We have some guests online here. Oh, okay. Eva, are you here?
Hello, I'm also an Interact member. I am the membership officer along with Sari at Arcata High.
Excellent. Thanks for being here. And I know that Dylan Collins is here from Orange Humboldt, and he'll have something to say in a little bit. Hi, Dylan.
Hi, good morning, y'all. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. And Dustin, I saw you there. Our district governor, Dustin Littlefield, is joining us this morning remotely. Are you at Pets, Dustin? Is that where you're at?
Yeah, yep. Far West Pets live.
Far West Pets.
Yeah.
Yep. For those that don't know the acronyms, PETS is the president-elect training, and I believe you're there with Vanessa. Is that right? Our next president?
Vanessa should be here, and all the other PEs in the district. Yeah. I haven't seen a sighting yet, but it's only 7, so I've only been down to get coffee once. So.
Well, I know Vanessa's got a long day ahead of her as a future president, so that's fair to sleep in. We got some dates to save coming right up. District Training Assembly in the 1st of April. And then just yesterday, Susan and Rebecca announced that we have a date for our Sunrise Scramble. Rebecca, do you want to come on up and say something about that? Or Susan online here? We got a little news about the Sunrise Scramble.
Okay, I can give some facts and Rebecca will fill in, but it is going to be at Baywood, and Baywood does a lot around organizing it. So that's very helpful. They'll have tables out for us to use. They have the carts already. They'll have announcements saying when to start. And so it's much easier to do it there. And it's also going to be a scramble for those of you who play golf. So that means that when everybody will hit a drive, and the best drive is where the next person will hit from, and all 4 people on the team will hit from that spot. And then wherever the best one lies, everybody moves to that ball. So you don't have to be an expert golfer. You just have to be lucky, really. So that's what that's about. And then we're also going to have be looking for sponsors for the holes. And teams, and I'm thinking maybe teams from each of you come up with a team, or your business would sponsor a team. I think that would be another good way for fundraising. And then we'll also have a raffle. So there's lots going on, and it's on Friday the 13th. So we're going to have a Friday the 13th theme. The unluckiest shot will win something. So things like that. So it should be a lot of fun, and you don't have to be a good golfer or even a golfer at all to play, because your team will support you. Just have one golfer on the team.
Excellent. So being Friday the 13th, should we stay away from the water taps? Is that
No, we're bringing it on. We're like flipping the script. We'll have lots of spooky, bad luck, good luck.
Get
No,
the
no, no.
canoes out.
It's all good.
Okay,
There
very
you
good.
go. I think Susan did a good job. Thanks,
Okay.
Susan.
Thanks, you too, Susan and
We'll be
Rebecca.
coming up with more formal information as time goes, but we set the date.
We're ready to go. We want to do this. So thank you. Appreciate you stepping up to lead that. Dylan, speaking of fundraising, I know that you got a major production coming up for Word Humboldt.
Yes, good morning, y'all. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. We're gonna be having the Redwood Poetry Festival sponsored by Word Humboldt coming up in April. And we're gonna be bringing in poets from all across the country, and also featuring all our local poets here, musicians, and music vendors. And it's gonna be like a week-long event. But the major days are gonna be the 8th, 9th, and 10th. And we need help with volunteers. That's a big thing we'll need help with, just for setup and takedown of the events, helping like give people information, manning like the merch tables. We'll probably need help with handing out flyers and posters, and maybe some tech help if anyone is handy with that. We're also we're gonna have a link for a GoFundMe page next week, and I can send that to you, Ian.
Very good.
In the future, but yeah, and also just like I wanted to let y'all know, if anyone wants to get involved in any way, this is gonna be a big. This is the first inaugural event, so we're trying to like establish the roots for it now, and then grow it for to be an annual thing, and it's like gonna definitely highlight Humboldt as a destination for people across the country. And like we want to just like highlight Humboldt as like a great place to be, and like make this a big annual thing to like bring business here and like different stuff. So yeah.
Well, we appreciate the efforts of Word Humboldt. You know, Dylan, when you came and spoke, and anybody's been to any of the poetry nights knows that Word Humboldt is definitely an active, engaged, proactive supporter of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So they're a great ally in the community to many segments of our community and bringing different sections of our community together. So thank you for all the work you do, Dylan. And we look forward to hopefully maybe getting some volunteers together. Dick, you had a comment there.
Dylan, could you reiterate the dates, please?
What was the dates? Yeah.
The dates are going to be April 8th, 9th, and 10th. And we'll also have shows on the 6th, and 7th as well around Arcata. And they'll be at several different locations all across Humboldt. So.
Fantastic. We look forward to it, Dylan. And I keep that information coming. We'll make sure it gets to our club.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ian.
Thank you.
We're still every Tuesday at Town Coffee too, if anyone ever wants to come out and check out the open mic.
Perfect. Yeah, Dylan does copy the open mic night dates to our Sunrise message on Facebook and on Instagram. So watch for those, and it's a really great, inspiring, soul-searching way to hear poetry. So thank you, Dylan. You know, without having to state the elephant in the room, but there's some stuff going down around the world in Ukraine, and Dustin and the World Community Service Committee has asked me to bring some information to you. We had a statement from Rotary International this week, and then some ways that we can help out. Dustin, would you like to speak first to this?
Yeah, thank you, Ian. Is my audio coming through okay?
Yep, we got it.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, so everyone should have received this email in their inbox at some point. Rotary International did put out a statement around the current crisis in Ukraine, and then it just kind of as just to kind of start somewhere. Rotary is an international organization, and one of our main focuses is peace building and conflict resolution. So when things come up like this around the world, Rotarians do respond. We have a lot of connections through Rotary, actually in Ukraine. Our General Secretary, John Hugo, he actually helped write some of the Articles of Independence for Ukraine when they actually got their independence. And he is in a club in Ukraine. And, that's kind of an international level, more locally. We have a lot of Rotarians here within our district, too, that have strong ties to Ukraine. And so it's just when things like this come up, you really realize how connected we are worldwide. And, it's really a call to action to respond. And what we're doing through Rotary is helping with conflict resolution and peace building by supporting refugees and responding to other disasters around the crisis. So John Germ sent this out yesterday, and you can, I'll spare you my stumbling through reading it, but you can go ahead and read it. And this is one place where we can send donations through directly to help with the response. And our district also will be sending out a spot for donations later today or tomorrow morning. We've been working, and our disaster relief committee has been working with and is in contact with the zone coordinator and club support in that area. I forget her name. She's a past district governor in the area as well. But what we'd be doing is making donations to our disaster relief committee, and that money would go directly to Poland to help support refugees coming into Poland with hotels and water and food and any other supplies they need. Rotarians there right now that are helping with in Poland, that are helping with the refugee component of it, are helping find in the outer areas that are a little bit less popular right now, helping shuttle refugees to certain places and helping get them materials that they need just to basically survive. So here's two really, really good options that we can work within Rotary to support refugees over in Ukraine and Poland directly. So regardless of where the donations are going, we know how well Rotary works and how efficiently we spend our money and how we get this done. So I would highly encourage you to share this when the district one goes out. Please share that as well. And that this is, it's really tragic what's going on. So obviously anything helps around this. So thank you for your time. And if you have any questions around any of these two areas to donate, please don't hesitate to let me know.
Thank you, Dustin. Craig.
If they could facilitate Venmo for donations to that,
Right.
would be very helpful.
So there was a comment there asking for Venmo. In our club, just before everybody arrived this morning, there were a couple of members of our World Community Service Committee on the call and here, and they're suggesting that if you're not sure where to put it, send it to our club's Venmo, Arcata Sunrise, and tag it Ukraine, and that will channel through World Community Service to the district to the needs in Ukraine. So you can do it right through our own Venmo, and we'll get it consolidated. World Community Service is working on allocating some of their funds, if they still have some left, to help with that as well. So we'll get one big payment, but you don't have to wait. We can get this money flowing right now through the district and get it where it needs to be. Thank you, Dustin. The disaster relief funds from Rotary.org or Rotary International is up. It's in all of your emails as part of my Rotary, but you're also welcome to use our club's Venmo to get it channeled through World Community Service from our club. So thank you, everybody. We had a good showing for Backpacks for Kids. Vanessa, who is at PETS this morning, so she's not here. PETS is the president-elect training. And she hosted at the Griffin, our clubhouse, so to speak. And we had some folks there packing up. Dick, I believe you went and picked up and brought it over?
Yeah.
And was that pretty straightforward? They've got...
Yeah, it'll be easy.
Dick's in both rooms.
Yes, it's really easy.
Is that you, Dick? Thanks. Appreciate it. Anyway, appreciate all your help. Now, last week everybody was asking, why am I wearing all these pins? And it has to do with Rotary Youth Exchange. And as of last week, when Marty started vetting the host family that we have committed, we made a quick discovery that they've started a remodel and can't host first. So we are in crunch mode right now as a club to come up with our first host family. It may be somebody in our club. It may be somebody that we know. But Dick, you want to go ahead?
That's not me.
Oh, it is me. Maybe Amanda. There we go. Okay, we're figuring this out. So we have about a week. Claire, would you like to speak to that? I know we had a conversation last night. If you want to come up for a moment and let us know where we are as a club. Come on up. It's the magic speaker carpet.
Here we go.
So our other audience can see it.
You have little foot marks. Here
That's
for me
right.
to put my feet in.
You can move within the right.
Yeah, I think we just really need to get the word out to get the program up and running again. I'm hoping I can get something in the bulletin at Arcata High School. I'm going to reach out to Brian Lavelle today, but we also need everyone else to reach out and think about who might be able to host. It's, a 3 to 4 month commitment, which isn't, we can do almost anything for 3 to 4 months. And, yeah, we know that we're getting a student from Africa. We know that, in hosting the student from Africa, we're supporting that African country, and we don't know exactly which one they'll be from. But anyway, we're supporting that country in building their own youth exchange program. So after they've been able to send people out, in the future, they'll be vetted to bring people in, which, we know that's how world peace starts, is with one person at a time. So I encourage everyone to just please reach out to anyone you can think of who might be interested, and encourage them, let them know that they're not on their own. They have the support of the club and the counselors and everyone. So yeah, is that good?
That's great.
All right.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So yes, that's the ask of our club. That went out a little earlier this week and last Friday. Please use your networking skills as a Rotary member, as a business member, or a member of our community, to reach out to people that that might be interested. You never know when you don't have that conversation. They don't know anything about it. If every one of us in the club, the 70 members plus, has a couple of conversations with a couple different people, we'll have a host family in a week. I really believe that. So please participate in our club's effort to secure our first family. The reasoning is that the student that would be coming has to start applying for their visa basically now. And in order for them to obtain that, they have to have a known spot vetted host family. So it all begins with that. And then once they're here, that feeling of being wanted and cared for as a student coming and leaving their own family is so critical, that they know that there's people here going, I'll have you. I want you in my home. So it's a very good feeling for them to come and arrive, knowing that they're going to be cared for. Howard wanted to give us an update on the Cambodia Academy. Howard, are you on the call? I believe I saw you earlier.
Yes. About 15 years ago, we had a speaker visit our club named Hans Eide. He's a Rotarian from the peninsula south of San Francisco, from a club there. And he had been a successful entrepreneur, creating a company that was quite successful. And one of his partners in leading that company was a Cambodian American. And he told Hans of a school that the Germans had built in Cambodia for wealthy families. But this, it was a private school, and there was an extra building that was completely vacant. And they began to think of the idea of occupying that building with children from poor families that would be supported by Rotary. So he was making the rounds of Rotary clubs asking for donations to create this school that eventually became known as the Cambodia Academy. And all of the children in the school, there are almost 300 of them, were from poor rice farming families who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford to go to school. And so our club became inspired about this, and we started to give some donations, and a donation of just a few $1,000s at that time would support a whole class in the school. And so for several years, we supported a class at the school. And then in 2011, 2012, we applied for a global matching grant, and we actually funded the entire school, all the operating expenses for the school. And around that time, I was taking a bicycle trip in Laos, and I wanted to go to Angkor Wat in Cambodia to see the ruins there. And the school was about 2 hours away. So I decided to go visit the school, and Hans told them that I would be coming to visit. And so I had to rent a car and drive on this dirt road for 2 hours to get to the school. And when I arrived, there was a line of the students in front of the school. If you can picture 2 lines of students coming out to greet me, and I was instructed to walk down through these 2 lines of students, and the principal was at the end. I was to walk down and greet the principal. And as I walked down this line, these 2 lines, the students started applauding in appreciation for Rotary donations. And you can imagine I was completely hooked on spending the rest of my life with world projects to help particularly kids in need in rural villages. So to continue the story, a year or 2 later, the leaders of the wealthy school told Hans that the students had to vacate the building, that the owners wanted to use it for other purposes. So at that point, I thought, well, it's been a good run. But Hans Heide was not stopped in his tracks with that. He decided to raise money to build an entire new school, which he proceeded to do. And so it took several years, but they've created this new school and continue to be educating about 300 students a year through the primary grades. And now it even extends up through high school for some of the better students. They teach a lot of English so that the students can get jobs working with tourists. And so they're very practically oriented towards preparing these students to help their families elevate their financial situation. We've continued to, from year to year, occasionally, not every year, but to provide some funding. And this year we decided to provide about 1,000. The World Community Service Committee, thanks to all of you for allowing our committee to have a few extra $1,000 funding. We're providing scholarships now for 3 students, about $300 each, complete tuition for the entire year. And that includes not only the equipment for the school and the teaching salaries, but also uniforms, and they provide lunches for the students and transportation. And it's just totally astounding. You can see these kids live in rice farming families, and there they are in school with these clean white shirts on and their school uniforms, and they're very happy, they and their families, that they're getting Rotary support. So want to thank all of you for making these donations possible. And you can see even a small amount of donations have a tremendous amount of mileage in Cambodia with this school. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Howard. Please. Angela, you had a comment.
Angela, we're ready for you.
Ian, can you show any of those other photographs while we're waiting? Yeah, you can see the way the school looks now. And it's in very good shape, except they are needing, the next project is to renovate the cafeteria. That's the way the school looked years ago, before they had enough funds to create the landscaping outside.
Thank you.
So,
go ahead.
So Ian, I'm not sure where Angela is, but I know you need to keep moving. She wanted to mention that she was putting together St. Patrick's Day auction items and wanted to do that this next week. So she just wanted to let people know that she was going to do some items again for fundraising.
Excellent.
And,
that was a lot of fun when she did it for Valentine's. So we look forward to that.
So,
Yeah, I'm
there
here.
she is. There she is.
Sorry. Yeah, so I just have a couple packages that are a little smaller and are focused on St. Patrick's Day. I spent last week in Ireland, so I was very motivated and have some fun stuff.
Excellent. We look forward to it. So that'll be next week, Angela?
Yes, on Friday, I think it's the 11th.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I just want to say a couple of things, two things. First, I want to say one of the things that Hans Eide asked for were folks who would personally sponsor a student at the school. And although I haven't been super consistent with that, I'm doing that, and it's just under $300 a year. It's very helpful, and I encourage any of you who are interested in that to contact Howard, or you can contact me. We'll put you in touch with the right people. The other thing is probably a little more important and a little more far-reaching. I want to say thank you ever so much to Howard. You know, Howard has shown us how important it is to make personal connections with other Rotarians. Doesn't have to be in person, although he gets on his bike and goes everywhere. I think he actually rides his bike across the ocean, but I'm not sure how he does that. But he's really brought a lot of the world to us, and I really appreciate that. He's also served as our president, and he just completed his term, his many terms as secretary, and he is so dedicated to this club, and I think we owe him a big round of applause.
Thank you. Could I just mention that if you search on the web for Cambodia Academy, you'll come to their website, and there's a place there where you can submit a donation for a student.
I think we had their logo here that you provided. Yeah, so that when you search, that's what it should look like. And that's Howard. Enough with the fanfare. Let's just do it. Okay. So thank you very much, Howard. And you know, when we talk about our Sunrise Summer Scramble, our tournament, our fundraisers, these are the kinds of things that we're up to. You know, everything that we talk about at every meeting, That's why we get active. So when the fundraising call comes, please respond and participate. It's so important. That's how we get the money to the things that we participate in. All right, Karen, hi. Long year no see. I'd like to introduce Karen Diemer, our city manager. Karen comes around about once a year and lets us know what's been going on in our beloved city of Arcata, right out the window.
Right out the window.
And
Side window.
if she'll grace me with a moment to switch presentations here, that would be good. I think I have you set up here. Nope, not that one.
You know, I'll make my offer to come once a month too. Just saying, the lunch still takes me up on that. Then you only get 5 minutes, just a 5-minute city update. So now I'm trying to cram 12 5-minute city updates in here. One quick presentation for you this morning. I was going to start with Ian's cat.
That's perfect. Okay, from the beginning, and let's get back on the Zoom here so that everybody can follow along. Screen share. I got this. I got this. I got this.
Yeah, go Ian.
Go.
I was not expecting it.
Allows the folks on Zoom to see you too.
Okay, so stay on the mat. That's the word. Okay. Well, good morning. It is really good to be back. I think it's maybe even close to 2 years since I've been at one of your meetings. So it's nice to see all of you. We, in fact, the city just went back into allowing in-person in the chambers this week. We had 2 meetings. We had 2 audience members. One was a mother of a council member, but we count her. Yeah. It was good. So I'm going to move pretty quickly because my recollection of this group is it can have a lot of questions. So we're gonna just go through. I think, what's your secret?
It's probably set up main screen. There we go.
All right.
Now the arrows should work.
All right. Look, you're Rotarian Susan, front and center. So I mean, we're not going to talk a lot about the pandemic because we've talked a lot about it for the last couple of years. But a few perspectives that I think the city really did learn was one, like we can all share how lucky we felt to live here versus maybe anywhere else in the entire world. And what we really saw was this community step up in ways that, you know, I saw so many other communities falling apart. So whether it was our businesses stepping up to do actual early on supplies, masks, hand sanitizers, face masks being made here, whether it was our police department, when kids first went distant virtual learning, they did a whole series of reading books on YouTube so that kids could join from home. And really, if you didn't see Evan Beachel's rendition of I'm a Frog, you really missed out. There was a lot of ribbit and it was hilarious.
Is it recorded?
It's still on YouTube. Yep, Arcata has YouTube channels. If you have little ones at home, it's a good one. This community stepped up when the governor said, I'll shelter people any way, any shape, any form you can, with 2 parking lot shelters. We sheltered over 97 people in those parking lots. Yes, it was funky. Yes, it was fast. But literally when all of us had places to shelter in place, what we saw is that there were many, many in our community that didn't. So totaling over 3,300 bed nights in that program. We did it as long as they'd fund it. And then we did have to shut down when that funding went away. Am I going to work this way? I am. So really moving forward, like where does recovery come from? And what we experienced here is that people really re-energized on buying local. And that is for us where recovery comes from. Buying local, buying local, buying local, and buying local. Those are really the 4 main reasons. The other thing that we've started to see, which is exciting, is a ton of new businesses that are opening just within the last few months. So I just featured a few here with the Oak Deli and Brewery. Big Blue is back up and running. It's become really an Arcata icon. Familia, if you haven't tried that, down in the Creamery District. Miranda's Rescue. There are several more that are going to be popping up right within 2 blocks of here. So we're excited to see that. I also just a quick shout out to Main Street, who's really just tried to persevere with having some level of safely socially distant events, from the Sunday art markets to Santa, who parades around town now instead of all congregates with thousands of kids in the center of the plaza. So really trying to find ways to keep our community connected during what's been a really hard, very tested last couple of years. So in terms of actual, sorry to my virtual folks, I'm going to move you over a little bit. I'm not going to go through all these numbers because I do know it's early in the morning, but when we look at just right now, we're in mid-year budget, right? So we're looking at how do we compare this time of year to where we were last year at this time and the year before at this time. And sales tax and our local sales tax and our bed tax are sort of the three main ways that we say, here's a snapshot of what we fiscally look like as a community's economy. And so what you'll see here quickly is that for this year, the data here is really July through December of 2021. So comparatively, you're looking at July through December of 2020, 2019, and 2018. And this year, our sales tax has exceeded any of our pre-pandemic and certainly all of our pandemic periods of time. So we are, I'm not gonna, roaring might be a little strong, but we are coming back. You'll see a few little blips in the data when I pull it out monthly, August and September. I think a lot of that is reporting. We've had several businesses that have really hard pinch months. There's lots of statewide programs to defer payments of sales tax right now. So all of a sudden we'll see businesses catch up and get us a few months or a quarter in at one time. We're seeing the exact same trend on our transaction and use tax. So this is the 0.75% sales tax that stays local. The really nice thing about this tax is that we do capture it on a few additional items, such as vehicles that you might buy outside the area and many more online purchases where the 1% state sales tax that goes to local governments might go into what we call the countywide pool. The transaction use tax, 3/4 cents, comes straight to Arcata. So we're again seeing a very similar trend. Our fiscal year this year, July through December, far exceeding anything that we saw even in pre-pandemic levels. Yeah, and everyone is coming to Arcata. So our bed tax, where international travel has slowed tremendously. What we're seeing again, even coming out, even during the pandemic when travel restrictions were lifted in July, our hotels just boomed back up to 90-95%. Now you can see. What you're seeing here, when I look at pre-pandemic year, like 19, at 407,000, let's say for Q3, and this year we're at 594,000. I think, man, that place must have opened a couple hotels. Okay, so for better or worse, we did not open a couple hotels. So maybe the sad or maybe just the reality is that our hotels are allowed to charge. The market rate is much higher for a hotel room in Arcata than it was 3 years ago. So that's not always great news for the traveler, but it does equate to at least some local revenue here. But yeah, I mean, you'll see, I mean, that's just from, if you look at 2018, 19 to now, I mean, that's a tremendous increase and we're not seeing the huge increase in Airbnbs. We're seeing a pretty steady flow. In fact, we saw I would say probably 2016, 17, 18, when Airbnbs just really got big. We saw that. And then I think the crunch on housing, we did have a lot of owners that said, I'm going to go back to monthly rentals because our community needs it. So when we did the council actually passed a short stay rental ordinance to limit and cap the number of parcels that could be exclusively dedicated to Airbnb. So that number is 100 in Arcata. And I think we're at 55, maybe applications or so right now for that. So it doesn't mean that other people don't rent out one room or don't have one unit on their property. Those won't count in our cap as long as you have some long-term tenancy on your property. And so I don't see the big growth in there, but we certainly are. Now, part of this, you've maybe heard talk of, the council did support 2 what are called Project Home Key grants. So this is conversion of 2 of our hotels. So we will potentially see both the Red Roof Inn and the Days Inn convert to long-term housing. That will take TOT out of our system. Of the hotels we have, of that million, and remember that's about a half a year of TOT for us, probably about 80 to 90,000 of that would have come from those 2 hotels. So I'm not going to speak to what that means because that's a pretty small number actually compared to other hotels less their size. At least for one of those, I'll say. But where are we going? We are going Cal Poly Humboldt, right? was excited about that. I'm a proud Cal Poly graduate. And I couldn't care less if that's what my Facebook page says. So, but we have to plan for that. So the city has really, I'll say, 2 significant planning processes dedicated towards future growth. And then we also have an update of our local coastal plan, another big body of planning work that's happening. But the 2 areas, one is just our infill strategic redevelopment plan, which is going to really speak to how we update the city's general plan. And that's our blueprint for sort of growth and land use in the city. It's the city's general plan. So we are updating that. Our plan went through 2020. Councils of the past, honestly, our 2020 plan was really, really good. So they all started calling it the 2030 plan because we were so proud of it still. And we're all still here, you know, so we feel like it can't be that old. But then we get a new council, right? But in fact, you do need to look at those policies. So we will be doing some pretty substantial updates to our general plan policies as we move forward. So we do have that planning underway. And then we have a really specific area that we're looking at, which is called the Gateway. And I'm sure many of you have heard of this. So we have a draft out of the Gateway area plan right now. It is under public review. Now is the time to get involved. It's not too late. You haven't missed anything. You can comment as much as you want, as often as you want, and as deeply as you want on that Gateway area plan. And we really encourage you to do so. The idea is if we take a look at an area where we know we have a lot of underdeveloped, some vacant, and some potential for development in this area, what do we as a community want that to look like now before we have 6 or 7 applications in for what a developer or a private property owner decides they want their property to look like? If we as a community can say, this is what we want these properties to look like, then when the developer comes in, we maybe can't force that 100%, but we can say, hey, here's what the community wants. If you want certainty, if you want approval, if you want planning commission support and council support, you could build this. And they're going to say, that sounds like a great idea. Because I know fees can be burdening to development, but to me, the number one thing a developer wants is certainty. If they know the money they're going to invest is going to result in building, fees and costs become almost a non-issue, right? So that's why we're doing this. So now is the time, because once we set these plans, once those policies get set, we want to be able to go to our development community and say, develop here this way. We're open and we're welcoming.
Is there any where that people can say, can we add stories?
Yep, you can. Yep. So the plan, I mean, I just have to say there, you know, I won't vote on the plan, of course, but there's some really genius aspects of this plan. It is really well developed from its sort of inception with a lot of community input. And I don't want to negate that there's certain people that feel like they missed the boat and they should have been communicated with in a different way, because we're hearing that also. And that's why my big message is it's not too late. But there are certain aspects in this plan that proposed in a very draft form, here's what 8 stories might do for you. And yes, that's scary for a town that doesn't go over, you know, we maybe have buildings that equate to about 5 stories. Yeah. Including probably the one we're standing in now, 4 stories. But in terms of a total height, you probably could have fit 5 in this space. However, but it's not like 8 stories in the whole gateway, right? There's specific zones within that gateway that would call for 4, 6, 8 stories. And there's just a very small areas that it even proposed 8 stories, which were really down sort of closer to Small Boulevard. 8 might just be too big for this community, and that's fine. You can all vote and say, I don't want 8, I don't want 6. You can say whatever, you know, stories you feel comfortable with. And those are all decisions that the council will make. The reason that 6 and 8 stories got into the plan was that this plan was predicated on a market study that said, what pencils out from a development standpoint? And 3, 4, 5 stories is a really narrow margin or no margin at all. So part of it is that, you know, the past council said, we are so, are you agreeing or disagreeing? Because I like, yeah.
From a construction standpoint, I'm saying I want 8 stories.
No, exactly. No, I hear you. Right. So if we don't want that, And we know that that's what it takes from an economic, standpoint. We're going to need to figure out other ways to incentivize development that we do want, right? And so then I go back to, let's provide some certainty for developers to what we want, if it's not going to be something that they know is going to pencil out right away, right? So it's finding that balance. But anyway, that's why it's proposed that way. It doesn't have to stay that way. That's what the council is taking input on that. Yeah. And then we also, during the pandemic, passed our strategic arts plan. So that's really exciting. You'll see additional public art and opportunities for private art coming through that, really heavily focused on equity and inclusion and creating pathways to build equity into public art, as opposed to who could find the money, who has the idea, who drew it up and can make it all happen themselves, and then come to us and say, I'd love to put a mural here, and I have the money and I have the design, and we say yes, and that's great, and we all celebrate that. But it really doesn't create an equitable playing field for individuals in our community to be able to express public art.
I have a question about the Gateway District. I mean, there's the saying that all good things must be punished. How's the Coastal Commission going to feel about this? You're the coastal zone there, right?
There is a small portion of the coastal zone.
It's not very big.
Yeah, so really we are north of Samoa, but there is a period up here. There is a place, I'll say, west of K Street and north of Samoa until I think it's 6th, maybe 7th, that is within the coastal zone. Shockingly, maybe 2 small little sliver part. I know. I should have had a picture. Sorry. And if this club would like, I'm happy to send. We've got staff that'll whip out all sorts of great graphics on the gateway. But most of, so here's a really complicated piece of the coastal zone. That whole section, with the exception of maybe 2 little parcels, which are basically slough channel that aren't going to have development, is in what's called a categorical exemption zone. So when the coastal zone was created, there were certain properties that the Coastal Commission came in and said, these properties have been developed. They were mill sites. They were completely covered. They had no navigable waterways. They had no riparian areas on them. And they basically said, there's no coastal resource that we need to protect here. So they are categorically exempted from getting a coastal development permit. Right. Well, yeah.
8-story building, I think they would Vermont.
Okay. Well, unless they have public access, maybe not. If it was a hotel, they probably not. So we'll see. Anyway, but yeah, we're happy to talk about coastal development if you'd like, because we are also updating our local coastal plan. Ian, I have 8 left. Oh, that's not so bad. Okay. I'm like, I thought it was going to tell me I had 2. I just wanted to touch on the other thing is the city received American Rescue Plan Act funds. We had about 4.4 million. So this council had the opportunity to sort of dream big and actually spend money. I haven't worked for a council that's really ever been able to spend money. So that was a pretty exciting time. And these are some of the main areas that they decided to spend some of that. And they still have at least 750. We might shave some from each of these. They might have close to $1 million still to allocate of that. If there is anything really important you want to see in your community, they do still have some money to spend. But the first thing that they really wanted to make sure was that we funded an extra 3 years, and we only have about 3 years to spend the money, of mobile intervention services team. These are county mental health clinicians that go out on calls with their police department or do independent outreach in our community through our police department to provide service and outreach. And they are putting money towards 1 year of piloting a safe parking program. So I'm happy to talk about what you see when you drive out Samoa right now. That's not the city's safe parking program. Sometimes, and you probably heard me say it before, predictable is not always preventable. That's really true in city government and politics. So we knew we had to publicly talk about the site that we were going to offer a safe parking program because we're a transparent local government. So we had to get a lease signed. We had to have an operation plan. It had to be based on the site. But I kept telling the council, the more we talk about this empty lot on Samoa, the more people are going to go to the empty lot on Samoa, right? They need services. So it is what happened, and we will get things cleaned up. But we've had probably 25 cars have made their way to that site and are parked outside the gate. We will hopefully be up and running. I'm going to say by April 15th. Quite frankly, I'm hoping within the next 2 weeks. We just got the keys to the property yesterday. We just got under lease. So we are moving forward. That will house up to 30 vehicles. It has a very low barrier entryway into access. to try to move people into more permanent supportive sheltering. So we'll see how that works. No state or federal funds will fund that program. So we're hoping to get enough data to really fight that fight in Sacramento to say we need funding for this type of program long-term. We need something to get people into the system, and we don't have enough housing right now to put everybody into. So we need to have these transitional options that you haven't funded before. Community Ambassador Program, really hoping to have this off the ground by graduation weekend. So this would be paid community ambassadors starting in the downtown area. They just be people in much more brightly colored city vests. They would be doing, connecting with the businesses. They would be doing outreach to those that have need services on the plaza. They would be doing just garbage cleanup and graffiti cleanup. They would be doing escorts if staff or if individuals from out of the area needed help getting back to their car. They'll be doing directions. I mean, just that kind of a presence that's not a uniform law presence, starting with the downtown area. They also really wanted to do a big focus in the Valley West area. So we're working with Cooperation Humboldt. They have a branch of that called CUNA, which is just focused in North Arcata. And they're doing both Spanish and English outreach in the Valley West neighborhood and trying to build a sense of community. They're working on building a business improvement district, like a mini Main Street out in the Valley West area, to start to build things around that space. And then they've adopted a portion of Carlson Park, which is just outside the Mad River, and starting to get activities there. Now he's telling me 3. See, here's how it goes from 8 to 3. And lots of other great programs that I'm happy to talk about if you have me once a month. No, I'm just kidding. See, look at that, was just my last slide. So I now have 1.5 minutes for questions.
2 questions. One of them has Humboldt, Cal Poly, have they let you know what their plans are to have several thousand more students?
Yes.
We know they have Craftsman Mall now, but are there other locations and where we have planning and development for that? The second one is, I think I heard when they were building the large building down there at Isaacson's, a 4-story job, but I think I heard there was supposed to be an electric bus coming in that was going to circle, like free stable transport people around. I haven't seen an electric bus yet.
Yes. Oh, I got to stay on the carpet. Sorry, Zoom. Okay. Yep. So quickly, we're in really, really close communication with the university. In fact, the mayor and I just had breakfast with the president and his staff yesterday morning. And then they hosted the chamber event last night. So that's us, we're there too. So on housing, in its height, which is probably academic year like 15, 16, HSU had about 8,200 students. We are now down to, 5,300, right? So there's, and the hope is to have 11,000, right, by 2028. So that's really only 2,800 students more than they were at their high in 2015-16. Now, a lot of that housing that used to be student housing has been taken up by lots of other people that have come into our community. So I'm not saying we're not going to have a crunch. But in terms of the size, their proposals are in that time frame between now and 2028 will be about 1,400 additional beds on campus. Second, the Craftsman Mall will build out at a maximum of 800 beds is what I'm hearing. That's what the plan is right now. And then there are properties that they are working on in McKinleyville and 2 different properties that they're working on in Eureka that will also be beds. Those are private developments. Not as tightly tied to the university in charge of construction, but will be more student purpose built and will be tied in with shuttles and transportation to the campus. So yes, we're doing planning. Yes, we're in some of the initial stages of that, and we have a ton more to do. So I'm not saying, you will hear a lot more about that. In fact, the mayor and the president will try to put out regular communications. Your second question was on the electric bus. Yes, we have 2 electric buses on order. Half of one of those is being funded with the Sorrel Place, and the other 1.5, we've cut them sideways, not front and back. It's being funded by grants. So we are really working on trying to move towards a zero emission fleet overall. And busing is the first area that we've seen some grant funds.
Were they supposed to be like a free shuttle where we're just going to run around, people can jump on and jump off?
No, this is just going to be a regular bus route. We are looking to get a more of a downtown to campus South G Street bus route, and we will continue to work on that. The pandemic has wreaked havoc. Am I off? So it's almost time to restart. We should go not now.
Students can't get on and off because they have the jet pass.
Yeah, so students can ride for free. It's hardly free. The students pay for our entire bus system. So the reason that your fare is so cheap is because students pay for our bus system.
And the population at Sorrel Place also has free bus passes.
Yeah, so some of the new housing developments, and when we have low income subsidies, are coming with free bus passes.
Randy has a question on Zoom.
Go ahead, Randy.
Oh, it's gonna be a hard one. Because city managers can't ask hard questions.
Good morning. You know, Karen, thank you for coming. I was going to send you a private note, and I thought I need to thank you publicly for the amazing job you are doing in guiding the good ship Arcata through pandemic, major council turnovers, budget uncertainties, short staffing, police issues. And it sounds like things are going so well. And with all these uncertainties, you know, the public process, it takes so much work for staff. And I know you've been short, you know, to go through all this. And I want to thank you publicly for the amazing job you're doing for our community.
Karen likes that ending.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you very much, Karen. We appreciate you speaking today, and in honor of you coming to spend your time with us, we'll be making a donation in your name to the Wheelchair Foundation that provides access for people that can't afford it. Thank you very much. And we have a raffle, and thank you. I got a shout out to Romy and Stephanie here, who, you know, Nick put out a little request for help because he had to be out of town, and they came in, and, you know, I was thinking, oh, we're not gonna have a raffle. It's gonna be real tight here. And they said, no, we got this. So thank you both for
Nick for always doing that.
Right.
This is a group effort because I completely forget how this goes. So that's what I took to see every time. I had to key and choose to in there.
And while Stephanie is getting that number read, I was remiss. So it is not too late to take papers for our vacancy council seat. Any of you that live in Arcata, you just saw what an exciting time it is.
That's a filter, but not you.
They are due back signatures, and all you need to submit is 20 good ones, 30 to be saved by March 11th. So you still have one full week to get your signatures or your statement and run for city council in June.
Karen says it's not too late to run for city council, folks. Okay, do we have a number?
Okay, 819204. That was who? 204.
Who's in? That's Ashley.
$5. Okay, Nick, we'll figure out how to get that to you. And we do two, right? Okay,
Yes.
you get to two. Thanks for being here. We have last three digits, 169.
169.
Oh, is that my digit? 169. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, that was me. Oh, wrong.
It's Romy.
Oh, there's a lot in there. I don't know what dollars. What is it? No, I don't know what this is. But it's not the right color. It's not the right color. Yeah, maybe it's a $5. Yeah. The white.
5 on the table.
Do we do more than two?
No, that's it. That's it. Okay, folks, parting thoughts. Chaos surrounds us. Find purpose in your actions. Things fall into place. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.